I used to believe that keeping my head down was a kind of intelligence. You know, don't argue, don't question, don't draw attention to yourself, just survive the day and get home in one piece. That was my life for years. I was the woman people talked over, the one they underestimated, the one they assumed would never push back. And honestly, for a long time, they were right. Until the day I walked into a stranger's living room and saw my husband's face staring back at me from a place it never should have been. That morning started like any other. My husband Daniel stood in the kitchen with his arms crossed, watching me make coffee like he was supervising an intern who'd already messed up 3 times. "You're late again," he said, even though I wasn't. "And this coffee smells burnt." I laughed a little, that nervous laugh you do when you're trying to keep the peace. "It's the same brand as always," I said. He shook his head. "You always have an excuse. Just fix it." That was Daniel. Every conversation was a test, and I was always failing it. By the time I left for work, my story was already written for the day. Quiet wife, grateful wife, the kind of woman who doesn't ask questions. Yeah, that was me. Or at least that's who they thought I was. I worked as a housekeeper for a very wealthy man named Charles Whitmore. Old money, quiet power. The kind of man who never raised his voice but somehow made everyone listen. His house wasn't flashy, just massive and calm, like it knew it didn't have to prove anything. That day, I was assigned to clean the formal sitting room, a place filled with polished wood, soft light, and framed photographs that always seemed deliberate. I was dusting the shelves when I saw it. A framed photo, slightly tilted, showing 4 men standing together outdoors, laughing, arms slung over each other's shoulders. They looked young, careless, untouched by real life. I almost kept wiping until my brain caught up with my eyes. My stomach dropped. One of those men was Daniel. Not the Daniel who complained about burnt coffee or told me to stop overthinking. This Daniel looked alive. Confident. Free. My hand started shaking. I remember whispering, "No way," like saying it out loud could undo what I was seeing. I leaned closer, hoping maybe I was wrong, maybe it just looked like him. But it was him. Same scar near his eyebrow, same crooked smile I fell in love with years ago. I didn't even hear Charles enter the room. I just felt the air change. "Is everything all right?" he asked calmly. I turned, heart racing, and the question slipped out before fear could stop it. "Sir, why is my husband's picture in your living room?" He didn't answer right away. He looked at the photo, then back at me, and something heavy settled in his expression. Not shock, not anger, resignation. "I was hoping you'd never see that," he said quietly. That sentence alone told me everything was about to change. He invited me to sit something he'd never done before. He took the photo off the shelf and rested it on his knees like it weighed something real. "Your husband," he said slowly, "is not who you think he is." I wanted to argue. I wanted to laugh it off. Instead, I sat there, hands clenched in my lap, listening. Charles told me Daniel used to be part of a private financial group. On paper, it was an investment circle. In reality, it was a machine built to drain people dry. Predatory loans, fake promises, lives destroyed quietly. Most of us thought it was a game at first, Charles said. Daniel didn't. He treated it like a ladder. My ears rang. "That doesn't make sense," I said. "He hates finance." Charles looked at me with something close to sadness. "He hates being questioned," he replied. "There's a difference." Then he handed me a folder. Inside were emails, transaction records, photos. Daniel in meetings. Daniel signing documents. Daniel smiling at people he'd never mentioned. There was a list of names, too. Families, loan amounts, interest rates so high they felt cruel just reading them. I felt sick. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Why now?" Charles met my eyes. "Because you deserve the truth," he said. "And because I didn't know you were his wife until today." When I got home that night, Daniel was unusually warm, smiling, hugging me, telling me he missed me. His sister Laura sat nearby, nodding along, smiling that careful smile she always used when she was hiding something. "You look exhausted," Daniel said. "That job is wearing you down. Maybe you should quit. My heart started pounding. Quit now. After everything I just learned? I'm fine, I said. Laura touched my arm lightly. He's just worried about you. Her grip tightened for a second, a warning disguised as affection. That night I didn't sleep. Over the next few days, I started noticing things I'd ignored for years. Daniel intercepting the mail. Daniel guarding his phone like it was an organ. Laura making comments to others about how stressed and unstable I seemed. I tried asking a coworker at Charles's house if she knew anything. She went pale and told me to stop digging. It's not safe, she whispered. Later, I overheard her on the phone saying she was keeping an eye on me. That's when I realized how deep this went. Charles showed me another folder. Newer photos, dates from weeks ago. Daniel meeting people in parking lots, handing over envelopes. He never stopped, Charles said. He just learned to hide better. Then came the worst part. Some of the accounts were in my name. Loans I never signed. Debt I never agreed to. He used my identity because spouses trust each other and because he assumed I'd never question him. At the bank, the teller's face said it all. Overdrawn accounts, defaulted loans, a credit score in ruins. I walked outside feeling like the ground wasn't solid anymore. That's when Daniel showed up. "Why are you here?" he asked, smiling too tightly. "We need to talk," I said. He grabbed my arm. "Lower your voice." When I pulled away, his eyes went cold. "Go home," he said, "and stop talking to Charles." I didn't. The truth kept coming. Friends distanced themselves after talking to Daniel first. Laura spread rumors that I was stealing, that I was losing control. Even my closest friend told me she needed space because Daniel said I was confused. One by one, my world shrank until the only person telling me the truth was a man I barely knew. Then Charles told me why Daniel married me. My father wasn't a nobody. He'd been investigating that financial group, trying to expose it. Daniel helped discredit him, made him look unstable so no one would listen. I sat there shaking as Charles said, "Your husband didn't choose you out of love. He chose you because controlling you meant controlling what your father knew." When I confronted Daniel at home, everything exploded. He demanded we leave town, told me I was ungrateful, told me I didn't understand how dangerous this was. When I finally said no, Charles walked into that house like a storm. Daniel panicked, yelled, blamed everyone but himself. I looked at him and felt something inside me snap clean and final. We went to the authorities. The evidence was too much to ignore. Daniel was arrested in our living room shouting that he loved me, that he did all this to protect me. I looked at him and said the words I'd never thought I'd have the courage to say. "You protected yourself, and you destroyed everything else." The fallout was fast. Partners vanished. Laura went silent. People who once defended him suddenly didn't know him at all. Funny how that works. Rebuilding my life wasn't easy. I lost money, friends, time I'll never get back, but I gained something I'd never had before. My voice, my certainty, my spine. I stopped apologizing for existing. I stopped confusing silence with peace. I still think about that photo sometimes, the one that started it all. It doesn't scare me anymore. It reminds me of the moment I stopped being the woman everyone underestimated. So here's my question for you. When the truth finally shows up, do you think it's better to protect the lie that keeps things comfortable or to burn everything down for the sake of justice? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand.